Hi, and welcome back to Dubai Real Estate Philosophy. My name is Ahmed, and today we're going to cover a very highly requested video that I have received multiple phone calls from people, multiple messages from clientele that are all talking about one article that has really, shuffled the feathers of the Dubai property market. As you can see on the screen, the Dubai property prices to drop. Let's understand and dive deep. So instead of, because I've explained this many times to people, but it's hard obviously for everyone to articulate. So I really thought that I need to sit down, make a video on this topic to really dive deep into all the factors, okay, that in my opinion, this Fitch report that everyone is talking about. We'll look at the article, we'll go deep dive into it on, not that it's wrong, okay, but we have to look at it from a very balanced perspective, okay? And this is what this video aims to do, is to provide, look at all the details, have that knowledge backing it up. Because see, when you see the report as a person who's not in the market, okay, might not understand that much in depth about why Dubai is what Dubai is. And then we look at the report, okay, us being in the markets day in, day out, meeting with governments, meeting with developers, meeting with financial institutions, what we see versus what you guys see, right? So this video aims to give you guys all the knowledge. I understand it's very overwhelming for a lot of people, but this is why I've tried to very simplify it down. Everyone can understand in layman's terms and understand, and then look at this report from a very objective point of view rather than just going on the headlines, right? So let's move on in the presentation, right? You're gonna buckle up because it's going to be, filled with a lot of points, and it's, going to be again, it's not a very typical property video, but I feel like this is something very important that we should make, right? So moving on, this is the Fitch Ratings article that has everyone very scared, right? Dubai property prices to drop, but issuers have rating buffers. Fitch Ratings, all these areas. Dubai residential real estate prices will face a moderate correction in the second half of 2025 and 2026 after peaking this year, right? Now, before we actually get into it, we need to understand Fitch Ratings is a very well-known rating standard, you can say, or organization. And fun fact, these guys actually rated the US economy down as well, the creditworthiness of the government. And over there, most people, they're saying that they're actually, too little, too late, which I agree with. Obviously, the US government, all these guys have immense amount of debt, have immense amount of, fundamental economic problems. So they really do deserve that rating. But that is not the case, in my opinion, with Dubai. And we're going to see all the factors why, okay? So moving on, number one, why is Dubai's population growing? Okay, number one, these guys, the Fitch guys, they're saying that look, the population is not growing as much as it should be to sustain the level of developments that is going on in Dubai, right? So let's look at some numbers. Okay, again, you can do your own research, always do your own research, but this is the research we've come up with, right? So 169,000 residents moved in 2024. Okay, and it has been the fastest growth since 2018. That's great, right? Strategic reforms and economic appeal, okay, draw expats. Again, we're going to deep dive into all these points. And the population goal for us, Dubai as a city, is 7.8 million people by 2040. Okay, so these are the three, fundamental pillars of, the arguments that we are going to make, right? Now, moving on, this is a chart of basically the Dubai population growth projection, right? For all the way from 2024 to 2040. And again, 2040 is their vision. We're going to talk about that later on. And you guys can see, so the sky blue dashed line that is going on is going to be basically the line if it was going to be linear growth, okay? We need around 248,000 people per year to come so then we can hit our target of 2020. Now, the blue line is obviously the accelerating growth path, okay? So more realistic, obviously, sometimes it's just like you guys saw, last year was 169,000, so not really close to that 248. So up and down, obviously, nothing in nature is linear, right? We can't just, expect linear growth throughout, be the same numbers throughout. So the accelerating growth model is much more refined. And you guys can see that right now, the red dot where we are at 3.825 million in 2024. Obviously, they haven't done the consensus for 2025. That will obviously happen this year's end. And the gray dotted line is where we have to be at 7.8 million. So it's a again, it's a chart that you can see that from 2024 to 2040, this is obviously not every city is experiencing growth. Dubai is something that's very realistic. And now let's getting into the details of why. So number one, what is driving the surge, right? Why are all these people, I mean, just last year, 169,000 people moved into Dubai. We're expecting all these people to, I mean, why are they even coming, right? The question rises, why are they even coming, right? So number one, economic opportunities, right? We have tax-free income. Dubai does not have taxation on any income. Okay, business hubs are obviously there, the free zones. Again, we'll keep diving deeper and deeper into this, topic. Visa reforms, okay, golden visas. Look, obviously we're in real estate. Almost 99% of the people purchasing property with me personally, once they purchase it and they say, Ahmed, by the way, you have to process our golden visa. So that is a very, very big aspect of why people want to move here, to have a second option. They might not live here right now, because the good thing about the golden visa is that you don't actually have to live in Dubai. You can live outside. It's just a second option. Whenever you feel like it, you can come. You don't need a visa or anything like that, right? Obviously, investor-friendly policies as well. Now, third thing, quality of life. Most of you already know this point, safety, infrastructure, multiculturalism. Again, we're going to dive deeper. Regional magnetism, okay, it's a very stable hub. A lot of the big, Fortune 500 companies, they have their offices in Dubai. Obviously, we have Dubai Internet City. These guys are basically headquartered here in Dubai, and then they operate throughout the MENA region, just because of the free zones, the tax policies, all these kind of things. So already it's a very hub, and this isn't something new. This is something everyone knows. This is already existing, right? And then obviously we have the Urban Master Plan 2040, smart growth, green space, and mobility. We'll dive deeper into that, right? Now, moving forward, is it hype, okay, or can it actually happen, right? What are we saying we want to happen? Right now we're in 2024 at 3.825 million. We have a goal in 2040 to reach 7.8 million people. We need 248,000 new residents per year, and key growth must accelerate above 2024's 190,000 per year rate, right? So this is what these guys are claiming. These guys are saying, this is what we want. This is what we want to achieve. This is what's going to happen, and that's why everything is hunky-dory. It's all great. Now, is this hype or is it not? Right? So let's see why. Now, why the government wants this, right? Number one, before we understand, okay, we keep saying that we have 3.825 million people right now. We want 7.8 million people. Why do we even want more people coming into our country, right? Doesn't more people coming in mean more problems, more shortages, more crime, perhaps? All these things that, happen with heavily dense areas. We have to understand what the government wants in order to achieve this, right? They didn't pull this number out of nowhere and all of a sudden get up one day and say, you know what, we want 7 million people rather than the 3.6 we have right now. So, and we're going to dive deeper into each one of these points. Number one, economic diversification, okay, beyond oil. Obviously, we don't have a lot of oil. Abu Dhabi is the one that has all the oil. Okay, that's why we have ADNOC, right? Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. It's not Dubai National Oil Company. Okay, real estate sustainability. Obviously, we have all these projects that we are handing over. We want people to actually live in and not build ghost towns, kind of like, China has, or like all these other countries have. Boost soft power in region and globally. This is a very important point, and we're going to dive deep into the slide when we get there. Support world-class infrastructure and obviously fuel innovation and global talent base. Okay, now let's dive deep into each one of these things. Number one is economic diversification, right? Dubai has a very limited oil reserves, just like I said, compared to Abu Dhabi. And its long-term survival depends on non-oil sectors, right? Now, what are those sectors? We can obviously see in the screen. Tourism, we're already working on that. We're very highly, one of the best tourist spots in the world, one of the highly visited areas in the world. Finance, okay, we have a very strong financial system, a very safe, secure financial system, debt-free, all that stuff. But we're going to dive deep into that as well. Tech startups, obviously we have all these Dubai free zones. We have Museum of the Future. We are one of the very, very few countries in the world that has a minister of AI. Not a lot of people can claim that. So you can really tell that we are a city, and not just a city, a country that's based on innovation, right? So tech startups, and obviously is there. Logistics, obviously we're a trading hub. Real estate, obviously, we want all that investment. And then green energy sector, obviously now these guys are diversifying. COP28 actually happened in the Expo. For those of you who know, almost 126 countries came, they met up, they did a lot of green deals and all these things. So each of these sectors needs people to work, consume, invest, and build. A large population equals larger internal economy. If we have a larger population, we're going to have a larger internal economy, and that equals to more resilience. That's why we need more people. If we want these sectors to improve, we want these sectors to thrive, we want more logistics companies, we want more tech startups, we need to attract talent. That's why we want more people in the first place. If we didn't just come up with a number saying, oh, we need 7 million people. No, we need these 7 million people so we can fuel these industries. And when these industries get fueled, they have a lot of people, they're working in, they're consuming, they're investing, and they're building. That's why we're going to have a stronger economy, right? So again, these are the fundamental principles of Dubai, right? Now let's look at the second point, becoming a global city, right? We covered the economic diversification. That's what we want to do. Now we want to be a global city, okay? Dubai aims to rival cities like Singapore, okay? Singapore is already highly saturated. People say Dubai is overpriced. Singapore, you can't even find a property less than $1 million. That is not the case with Dubai. Reason being is because Singapore is obviously very small. It's very, very saturated. People have made tons of money. It's a great country to live in. But if you want to expand more, the people who got in there early, just like everything else, made it. But now if you want to go to Singapore, there's a lot of taxes. There's a lot of, things you got to pay the government. There's not enough space. Rents are high. Property prices are high. They're running at their prime, right? London, as a global business capital, London, I mean, what can you even say about London? I mean, UK, you guys saw how many millionaires were moving out from there last year, from, this year, last year. People are moving out. They're running a socialist country. They don't have any safety. They don't have security. They're running all these massive debts. Liz Truss, by the way, fun fact for if you people know, was the shortest prime minister in the history of a country. Why was she the shortest prime minister in the history of a country? Because she tried to bring in reform. She tried to reduce taxes. She tried to reduce government spending. Okay, and then what happened? The pound got hit very, very hard. The bond market basically crashed in UK, so she had to resign. Because unlike US, they are not the world's reserve currency. Okay, so they can't just do whatever they want and expect all these bond investors to keep buying their bonds and funding their economy, right? So they have huge fundamental problems. So that's London for you. And then New York as a cultural and economic magnet. I mean, New York was supposed to be this multicultural place, and it was for a long time. The Big Apple, the American dream, all these guys, they built this gorgeous city. And then now if you go there, it's not safe. You can't ride around in the subways. The taxes are crazy. All these democratic reforms that are coming in, the borders are open, they're having all these immigrants come in, there's no safety, there's no security, you're paying through the nose in taxes. And for what? The American dream has recently, faded away. All these debts, Fitch, they just gave him a terrible rating as well. So these cities are long gone. There really is not a lot of future, and the governments over there are not fixing the fundamental issues to resolve anything or show us anything that, okay, maybe they're bad now, but in the future they'll be better. No, Dubai is the complete opposite script. The government over here wants all these things. So we covered economic diversification, okay? Now we just covered becoming a global city, okay? And to do that, it needs a large and skilled population. That's why, again, we need so many people to come to Dubai. It's to make the vision actually come true, right? A diverse mix of cultures, which we already have. Dubai is already a melting pot. It's nothing new for us. We're not having these problems where Europe is facing and the US is facing, and all these European countries are facing. France is having all these riots where, all these multicultural people. No, it's because if you do a crime in Dubai, you get punished for it and you get kicked out. We don't want people who are troublemakers. We don't want people, if you can't provide for yourself, there's no welfare system. Either you live, you work hard, and you make it, and you pay for all your things, okay? And if you can't, there is no welfare. You get out. We want people who are productive, and that's the kind of people we are attracting. It's not like an open border policy in US where, we're just attracting anyone. Every Joe Schmo is just coming here for all the welfare benefits. No, Dubai is targeting itself, and people keep talking about the cost of living of Dubai going up. Oh, it's too expensive. Look, Dubai wants to attract a higher level of person. We're not running a charity. We're not running a welfare state. We want people who are competent. We want people who have skills, who are, a large and skilled population. That is a key word. That's why it's highlighted as well. We don't just want a large population that's completely, not productive at all, and they're just all living in welfare. That's why we have no taxes, because everyone over here does not run on welfare. They do their own thing. What you put in the city is exactly what you get out of. These are fundamental differences that people need to understand. Okay, and then obviously constant innovation and steady talent pool. Just for the reasons we mentioned above, if you want a stable economy, you want a highly productive economy, you need people who are skilled, you need people who are innovative, and we need a steady talent pool in order to power all these ventures that we want to face. Now, moving on, geopolitical influence. Now, this is something that is very, very important, especially in nowadays, as you guys just saw, President Trump came, they were playing very hardball with all the tariffs. What happened to UAE? How come UAE didn't get slapped with so many tariffs? Oh, we just had the standard 10%. So did Saudi, so did most of the Gulf countries. Why? It's because we have a lot of soft power, okay, population, and we want to increase that. We want to increase the government itself wants to increase that economic prowess. So having a higher population will equal more economic power. Once you have more economic power, you can use that as soft power for leverage. We don't want other countries bullying UAE around or Dubai around to slash tax, increase taxes, this and that. Is because who are you? We're a, super resilient economy. We don't need other people. Our economy, internal economy, just like we said, we have a high number of productive individuals, creative and innovative, individuals that are working in Dubai. So we're the ones providing the value, right, to attract these people. That's why people are moving. So again, try to connect the dots. These are building blocks. You have to understand in a building block way why these things are happening, what the government wants, what the vision is, and then we end up into the population, right? No one understands all these things. You have to understand it from this kind of lens to have a balanced overview of Dubai. Okay, so with 7 to 8 million productive residents, keyword, Dubai could position itself as the unofficial capital of the MENA region, which frankly it already is, but okay, it'll just fuel it even more. Just like I said, Fortune 500 companies are over here. We have Dubai Internet City, we have the Maidan Free Zone, Dubai Healthcare City Free Zone. All these areas, the Expo Free Zone is just coming up. All these super mega wealthy billion-dollar companies are headquartered here, and then they operate in the MENA region. They ain't headquartered in Saudi. They're not headquartered in Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain. No, it's Dubai. It's UAE. It's for a reason. It's because we have the infrastructure, because we have all the things that you need to, operate efficiently, and we want to add more people to it. If we have a good talent pool, obviously that's going to attract people as well. So a neutral hub for diplomacy, trade, finance between East and West. Well, again, it already is, but just to solidify it even further. Just like I said, President Trump came, how come we didn't get so many tariffs? It's because, again, we play it very diplomatically, okay? We do our trade, finance, East and West relationships. All these things are excellent, okay? And point number 3, a key player in global conversations around climate, tech, and the future of cities. Now, once we've already achieved it. Dubai is one of the best cities in the world. It's one of the safest cities in the world. They're always highly ranked in those kind of things. So they've already achieved it. And with a population, if we can achieve it already with a population of 3.6, that is now the next target. Can we achieve it with a population of 7 to 8 million people? And they will. They are making the fundamental differences today to ensure that, okay, if we're one of the best cities in the world to live, work, and play in, then can we also sustain that and achieve that at 7 to 8 million people? Moving on, the next point is the Vision 2040 and the sustainability, right? Dubai's Urban Master Plan 2040 is not just about size, it's about quality of life as well. We don't want to just stuff people in, and now all of a sudden it's a dystopia. There's too many traffic jams. There's already a lot of traffic jams, but there's too much more traffic jams. Okay, and there's, the rents are going through the roof, all these things, it's a dystopia, it's now well managed. No. We have to understand that if our target is the 7 to 8 million population, we are investing and we are working and we have a vision today to make sure that we can sustain that. We didn't come up with this overnight. It's been going on for a long, long time, and that's why Vision 2040 is there. We're in 2025. So it is a long time coming. This isn't just a small little dip or some, little correction is going to completely screw up all the plans. No, this is a very, very long-term plan. But we're not going to go through all of Vision 2040 because it could be another 2-hour presentation. But some of the bullet points, 60% of the city needs to be green. Public transport is expanded, which already is. We're going to talk about the metro and all these things. More sustainable, walkable communities will be built. And for those of you who are following our channel, obviously you've seen the communities that are coming up. Jumeirah Golf Estates, Dubai Hills Estates. I mean, these are literally the dream. No one A very few amount of the population in the entire world lives the quality of life, the standard of living that Dubai provides to the average person, not just people who are living, in these kind of communities. It's an average, person who's living in Dubai. They live in a community. It's great. Okay. And why are those communities so great? We're going to talk about that as well. The private sector and all these things. So, and then the last point, a bigger population helps makes this vision economically viable and socially dynamic. Now, economically viable is something that's very important, and we're going to talk about that further. Now, Dubai wants more people, not just to fill space, just like I said, but to fuel a future. More minds, more businesses, more creativity. It will become one of the most successful 21st century urban experiments. It already is, but it's just going to solidify it. If we're that successful at 3.6 million people, we want to make sure that we're successful with 7 to 8 million people. Okay, so you guys with me so far? All these things, and we're still talking about why we need more people. Now, the most important factor is debt. We're talking about, okay, we need that many people, we need the infrastructure, okay, we need all these real estate developments, we need all these businesses, but is the government going to put all these things? No. Because now what's the point? If the government tries to spend money, because this is the whole Keynesian economic, theory nowadays, where they're completely lost their minds, where the more you keep on spending, the more an economy grows. It's complete, it doesn't make any sense. It's complete BS. The whole reason the euro, the Eurozone, the West, the US has so much debt in the first place is because the government spending is not managed properly. There's too much spending. And now we got to make that money back somehow. So then what do you have? You have higher taxes. Now, because we don't spend so much as a country, we're very, very fiscally responsible. That's why we don't have no taxes. Okay, because we don't need taxes because the private sector is doing most of it. Now, let's get deeper into the debt aspect of this. How Dubai plans to grow without debt. Okay, number one, private sector-led development. We keep talking about the channel, Emaar, Nakhil, Miras, Damak, all these guys, they don't get paid by the government. They do it themselves. They have to make a project that's financially viable. That's why Burj Khalifa has been the tallest tower in the world since 2012. And they were about to launch Creek Harbor, right? Well, what happened? Why is Creek Harbor not launched yet? But guess what? We're still the tallest building in the world. Well, how come since 2012, we're sitting in 2025, it's been 13 years. The world had 13 years to come up with a taller tower. Why didn't anyone come up with it? It's because it's not financially viable. It's a terrible idea. Most of these companies, and I know Saudi's coming with their tower, and I believe some other country came up with their tower. The reason they could never make it is because they were government-backed projects. Emaar, ladies and gentlemen, is a public listed company. Unless it makes financial sense, they're not going to build it. And fun fact, there's still a lot of inventory that's available in even Burj Khalifa. But the reason it was financially viable is because it's in a master plan community. We're not making the buildings around it is what made up the cost of Burj Khalifa. Right? So we have to understand these things, that it's not the government that's planning all these things. It's the private sector. They sit down, they look at the viability, and unless it's actually viable, we don't go ahead with the project. Right? Real estate equals capital magnet. We're going to talk about that point later on in another slide as well. Again, phased growth, not overbuilt. We don't build everything overnight. Marina, downtown was slowly built. Marina was built step by step. Creek Harbor, downtown 2.0 is coming up. That is not already built. We don't just come in and we say, you know what? We want to put in $500 billion. We're going to build this entire city and we're going to make it the futuristic, city that it wants to be. And guess what? It turns out to be a ghost town. No one showed up. Well, what a surprise. That's how governments work. And that's what the Dubai government understands as well, is that if it gives the power, that kind of development power, that kind of budget to its own employees, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's why they've kept that power. They haven't given it to their government employees, their bureaucracy where, you can just go, there's a blank check, do something great and make some money. No, they do everything in a very structured manner. They think about the financial feasibility. Okay. Point number 4, revenue-backed state entities like DEWA. So DEWA is Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. Again, we're going to look at that, dive deeper into that in a bit. Debt caps and fiscal prudence. This is very, very important. There's another slide for that as well. And then lastly, public-private partnerships. So let's dive deep into the debt part. So number 1, the private sector-led development. Just like I said, you guys can pause the screen. Most mega projects, for example, Emaar's Valley, Dubai Hills, Shoba Heartland, are not funded by the government. I've had so many meetings where even big delegations came as well, and they just could not understand how the government is affording that, and they were blown away when I had to explain to them that, look, the government doesn't pay for any of this. Why would they pay for it? there's a private sector. We're attracting all this foreign investment. We're attracting all this capital from outside. They're the ones that are paying for all these projects. The government has zero involvement apart from obviously, the public facilities and all these things, right? So they are built by private developers. The infrastructure around, just like I said, the infrastructure around them, the roads, the utilities, the parks, they may get public support, but the core investment risk is private. Same thing, just like I mentioned with Burj Khalifa. We didn't make it because of the government-backed funding. No, we took a risk. The private sector in of itself took a risk. Okay, now this reduces the financial burden on the state while still delivering growth. Okay, now for example, just like we said, Dubai South, Expo City are public-private partnerships where developers build it and sell in phases aligned with demand. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, today we're selling Expo, right? By the way, stay tuned for that video. That video is coming out soon as well. And you're going to see it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. We didn't do it just like, FIFA World Cup or something or other expos where we build, we spend like billions and billions of dirhams to build a structure, infrastructure, and then guess what? With the 6 months there was the expo and then it's just a ghost town. No, they did it very, very strategically, and that's why today we are selling those apartments, we're renting those offices, we're having all these events, all these concerts in Expo City so we can recoup the cost. Because nobody gets a free lunch. Everything needs to be paid. Everything needs to be financially, economically viable. Moving on to real estate as a capital magnet, which I talked about earlier. Real estate in Dubai is structured to attract foreign capital, not just domestic debt. One fundamental thing which most people still don't understand is you cannot finance an off-plan project. Why is that? So many people come, they say, you know what, I'm going to buy 3 units, I'll mortgage it, and then we have to explain to them, you can't finance it. There's a lock. The reason for that lock is the entire reason the US had the 2008 global financial crisis, where all these mortgage-backed securities, people who couldn't afford it, they had low interest rates. We're not going to get too deep into that, but there was a huge crash just because of that fact. So Dubai learned from that, and they put a lock. You can't lease, you can't mortgage it, you can't finance it. Every development that is being built is financed by investors, by foreign investors who are bringing in capital from their own pockets. They might be borrowing it from some other, from their country, their home country. But when it comes to Dubai, believe me, it's cold hard cash or it's transferred through the bank. It is not debt. Okay. Now, with 100% foreign ownership in free zones and residency tied to property purchases, again, the golden visa, Dubai uses real estate as a way to fund growth from abroad, not government balance sheets. Again, just like I said, we don't spend a dime. These people come in, they get a golden visa, they like the environment. Guess what? They end up staying, they end up starting a business, and that's why, because the environment is just so easy to start it, you can start it in minutes. You can literally register a company and start doing business operations in minutes. It's not hard at all. And guess what? When you make the money, it's tax-free. Of course, there's a 9% corporate tax, but that's for bigger companies. We're not going to get into all that. Now, in short, investors fund the city and the city gives them access. These are the fundamental things we have to understand. This is something that's very, very important as well. Build as needed strategy phase development. Just like I mentioned earlier, we don't come up with an idea where we say, okay, let's just spend $500 billion into this project and then we'll see if it works out. No, we do it in a very sustained phase development. Unlike Western cities that build infrastructure just in case, Dubai often builds in phases when demand is proven. And a lot of people were making fun of the rain that happened in Dubai. Oh, people were drowning, this, that. Guys, that was a historical moment. It had never rained. Why would you build an entire drainage system in a desert where it barely rains throughout the year? It doesn't even make any sense. I don't understand why all these people online were giving so much hate. And guess what? Now that happened once, okay, great. Now we can see that, okay, these were the pitfalls that we didn't invest in, our drainage system. And God forbid, if this 70-year miracle happens again after 70 years, well, guess what? We should be prepared. So you know what? They invested like 80 billion into, new drainage setups and this one. And guess what? When the next storm is going to come, it's going to be completely fine. But we didn't need to spend that money earlier because who's going to pay for it? What, your taxes? No, we don't charge any tax. That's the whole point, right? So we have to understand these things. We build in phases and we only build as needed. This keeps cash flow healthy and prevents wasteful spending. Okay. Example, metro expansions are planned based on projected ridership and ROI rather than political pressure. This is something that's very important. We have to understand the Dubai Metro was launched in 2009. We're in 2025. It took them from 2009 all the way to 2025 to now finally extend the metro. We've had 2 lanes, red and green, since 2009 till 2025 because we didn't need to expand it. Now it's too crowded. Now we're talking about all these 7-8 million people showing up, then it's going to be a complete disaster. So yeah, great. Now they've already given the contracts. The construction is underway. And in a couple of years, guess what? We're going to have like 4 or 5 more metro lines. Great. Build as needed strategy. Now, strong government cash position. We already talked about this. Just like I said, DEWA is a public company. Dubai's government-linked entities like DEWA, which is the Dubai Electricity and Water Association, RTA, Road Transport Authority, and Emirates, which is the national carrier, are cash-generating businesses, not welfare-heavy institutions. DEWA is a publicly listed company. You can literally, any Joe Schmo can just get on the trading app and buy DEWA stock. And then guess what? When you pay the bill, you're basically paying in your own pocket because guess what? DEWA pays dividends. You pay the electric bill, you get it back in dividends. So it's a completely profitable venture, right? RTA, Road Transport Authority, again, one of the most financially stable public transport systems in the world. The world is because, again, Dubai only builds it if they need it, okay? Most of these public transport, organizations in the world, they're all running in losses. They don't make any money. They do, but it's all running on welfare. They have huge deficits. We run surpluses every single year from the RTA. And Emirates, obviously one of the best airlines in the world. We really don't have to talk about Emirates. It's self-explanatory. Now, many of the entities go public, IPOs, just like I said, or issue bonds backed by revenue-generating assets, not taxpayer deficits. Just like I said, DEWA wanted to expand. Guess what they did in IPO? They didn't get more money from the government, okay? Example, DEWA IPO, just like I said, DEWA IPO in 2022 raised over $6 billion, reducing the need for borrowing. So all these people that are coming in, 7-8 million people, they're going to need all these public services. Guess what? The government isn't even paying for that. It's the public trading markets. They just raised like $6 billion. So they don't even need money. The private people who bought that real estate, who got the golden visa, and now they're investing in stocks, is the one that's funding the growth. Make sense? Okay. Now, debt caps and fiscal discipline, this is something that is very, very important, which we talked about. The most important factor is debt. Okay. Dubai has had debt problems before. Of course, they've had 2008, 2009 crisis, and they learned from it. That's the most important thing that most countries didn't do, is that these guys actually learned from the problems. They sat down with experts and they said, why did this happen? And how do we ensure that this never happens again? Okay. It maintains strict sovereign debt limits with external audits and IMF-aligned frameworks. Again, no government spending, no taxes. If things overheat, they pause or delay projects. They're not afraid to slow down when needed. We've seen this time after time again, where, just like I said, like the metro. In 2009, we made it. If they wanted to, they could have just increased, but they didn't need to. So they just paused. They said, they planned, okay, 5 years later, 10 years later, we might. No, it's been 2025. Now we're finally, so they're not shy. Okay, if we don't need it, don't spend. Why spend? Be prudent. Be fiscally disciplined. Okay, delay the project. Now we need it. Great, spend now. Okay, and then lastly, public-private partnerships. Okay, this is something that's very important. Dubai is increasingly using the PPP models in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Dubai does not build government schools. Dubai does not build government hospitals. If you come here outside, you're a contributing member to society. Believe me, you will make enough money to afford all these things. And again, people who keep crying about the cost of living in Dubai increasing, we don't want schmucks. We don't want people who provide very, very little value. We want highly skilled, proper, competent, creative, innovative people that are going to take our economy to the next level. There's this huge divide. People say, oh, there's the rich and poor. No, we will always need skilled workforce and we will always need unskilled workforce. There's a place for both in Dubai. That's why we have the Dubai frame. There's the old Dubai, there's the new Dubai, right? Now, the government sets the policy and land while private players take on capital and operational risk. Again, we've spoken about this earlier, just like the Burj Khalifa, the government gave Emaar the lands for downtown, for marina, for all these developments. And guess what? The private developers came in, they funded it privately through foreign investment, and now we have this beautiful city that stands in front of us today, right? Example, schools and hospitals are often privately operated, but regulated and partly facilitated by the government. Just like we said, we don't have government schools, we don't have government hospitals. Now, for the citizens, that's a different thing. Obviously, they're citizens, they get welfare. But that's why the Dubai government does not issue passports as well, because we don't want to turn into a welfare state. That's why they only give the golden visa. Now, Dubai versus Western debt models, you guys can see right here. The growth model of Dubai is private investment led. In Western state, it's state-driven stimulus. These guys keep talking about budget deficits. Right now, the U.S. government came in with the big, beautiful bill. Guess what? It has $2-3 trillion more of government spending. Well, where is that money going to come from? Either it's going to come from inflation, where they're just going to print more money, the prices go up, or they're going to increase taxes. Now, they don't want to increase more taxes because people get scared. So then guess what they're going to have? They're going to have more inflation, right? Risk distribution, again, on developers and investors. The government doesn't take any of the risk, okay? And then in the West, it's taxpayers and the government. And infrastructure, again, phased with ROI. If we need it, we expand it. And in the West, it's political and it's pre-funded. Again, an election is coming up. Guess what? We're building new bridges. We're bringing new, just so they can get the votes, okay? Debt discipline, again, Dubai has strict caps. They are revenue linked. In the West, it's high public deficits throughout. That's why the Fitch report that those guys made for the government of US is completely negative. Again, too little, too late, but they finally came out with it. Real estate policy, again, investor driven, and they also give you residency. In the West, it's zone regulated and low foreign access. You can't really buy 100% foreign investment. So Dubai is not just chasing population growth, okay? It's building a sustainable, globally competitive city. And I hope that all the points we just went over tried to explain that and solidify that point. The next 15 years will determine if this bull model pays off. In my humble opinion, it will. Okay? Bottom line, let the market build the city, the government sets the vision and the rules. Now, if there's going to be a correction, great. Let the correction happen. That is what the free market is asking. And again, we're not a socialist society. We are a free market capitalistic society. Demand and supply determine the price. Now, in my opinion, again, with all the facts that we let out, all the things the government wants to achieve, they're going to achieve that with higher population. So it is in the government's best interest to not hinder away from these policies, to not introduce new government taxes, to not change what they've already been successful at. If they've been so successful at 3.6 million people, where we have no taxes, we're so safe, we're so clean, we're one of the best cities in the world to do business, then we should build the foundations today, have the vision set today, that when we reach that 7-8 million, again, for what? Why? All the points we just talked about right now, economic diversification, geopolitics, sustainability, all that stuff that we took, 40 minutes that we've been talking about, that's what we want to make. That's why the government sets the vision and the rules, like Vision 2040, the rules and regulations like DLD department, all these guys, and then we let the market build the city. So, in my opinion, that is an entire 40-minute presentation on why we need so many people, why it's in the government's best interest to sustain these business-friendly policies that we have, no taxes, and that's why it's never going to change. Because a lot of people are like, oh, they're just wanting more people, and then believe me, once the 7-8 million come, great, now we're going to have income tax. No, that's never going to happen. It's because you have to understand the core fundamentals of what the government wants to achieve. They understand it. They're very, very smart people. They've looked at all the problems in the world, and just like they learned from the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, they're learning from the mistakes of the world right now with all the bad budget deficits and all these problems going on in the Eurozone and US, and they're trying to build foundations today that is going to last for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, that was an entire overview. I hope this video gave you some in-depth knowledge. To be frank, again, a lot of the times we know all this stuff beforehand. It's hard for me to imagine people not to know it, but the reason we know it is because we're in this market every single day. We're talking to the governments, we're talking to developers, we're talking to investors who are moving in their entire families, their entire business portfolios, their entire real estate portfolios. They're liquidating all of that and they're moving to Dubai. We meet those people day in, day out. These are not theories, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we do every single day. These are some of the points I've learned in my career by meeting the people who are actually not just talking the talk, they are walking the walk, they are moving here, they are investing with us. This is what we do for a living. I hope this video gives you an entire comprehensive overview, so now you have all the knowledge and all the details to understand why the Fitch Report Could be correct, but it's not about short term. We have a long-term vision until 2040, and I can't wait to see what we're gonna come up with after we succeed 2040, what our next target is going to be. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye for now.